Now you're extra whimsical tonight.
Extra is the key word there.
Extra. Ooh. I am.
Whimsical.
I am also 6 shots in, and I put this lip pop on for Tony.
That's
I made my face up. Made my face up. I was like, oh, she ain't gonna be out here shining by herself.
yeah. You know
Yeah, you
you
should
can't. Yeah, your lips greasy. You can't be out here looking all ashy in the mouth.
you
I
you
can't.
Can't.
should see her hair when she on the phone with me and Rico, just about us alone.
Oh, oh, is that what we doing, Reggie?
I
Yeah,
liked it. I liked
I'm
it.
just saying
I
the
liked it.
the combs go high in the drawer. I'm just saying.
Listen,
I like that dusty
fans
look,
in the
man.
stands can get it if that's what you
Did you
want.
say dusty? Oh
If
no.
that's what you want, fans in the
I
stands
mean,
can
I
get
ain't
it.
mean to say I mean like homely. Like
Tony,
Don't
What
laugh.
is
It's ridiculous.
I'm bad with adjectives. But I'm bad with adjectives, y'all.
Don't encourage
adjectives
this.
and adjectives? Adjectives.
You look amazing. Your
Yeah,
hair
you do. You do.
loud.
I
I
mean,
like loud
times.
hair.
popping,
3 times amazing.
Mm-hmm.
popping, like
Mm-hmm.
popcorn.
You guys
Like
ready to get this going?
Mm-hmm.
I think we already started a
I
little
think
bit.
everybody's loose.
Mm-hmm.
somebody already
feel
started.
I feel we loose.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we
Uh,
loose.
Run it. I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, I can't take no loss.
What's up, good people? I'm Toni Benson. Rico, thank you for having me. Ebony, thank you for putting me on. Reginald, nice to meet you, even with the scruff. I like it. It's cool. You know what I
Don't do that.
Love it.
mean?
Keep
You're
going.
already here. You don't have to lie. You're
I
already
need
here.
I
Don't
need
do
more of
that.
that.
We got to support
wow,
each other in all endeavors. But yeah,
wow.
I'm Toni Benson. Happy to be here. A little bit of my background. I'm from Dover, Delaware. I know you know tons of people from Dover, Delaware. Go
Just
ahead.
saying that the other day. I met somebody, my boy from Dover. Just saw him the other day.
That's what I'm talking about.
That
See?
302.
The 302. So anyway, from Dover, Delaware. Great family. Went to school there. I also went to college there. Went to HBCU State. For all my state fans out there, all my state people out there, I graduated from Delaware State University. I didn't just go to
Oh.
Delaware State University. There's a distinction.
Say what?
I'm a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated because you know you got to get that out there for all my sorors. Um, but yeah, no, I grew up in Dover, Delaware. Again, it was a very multicultural uh, upbringing. There were a lot of different people. Got to meet a lot of different types of people, especially with the military and the Air Force coming in and out. And then after that, after I left Delaware State University, I went into the United States Air Force. I was a commissioned officer in the Air Force. I was a communications officer. And you would think communications really means like we're going to be doing IT stuff. Not, it could be a little bit of everything. But that's kind of how I got introduced into IT. In college, when I majored in first computer science, and let me tell you, I did a major switch because yeah, them codes were not coding. I was like, this is a lot. I don't
Wasn't
really
coding at
know.
all, huh?
Yeah, that C++. Yeah, it wasn't my thing. So I did management information systems, but it still led me down a tech route. And I really just picked that major. I literally said, what are going to be the most lucrative careers? It wasn't Google back then. It was like Bing. I'm probably telling my age now.
That's not right. You was asking
AOL.
Jeeves.
So,
Was it G's?
Whatever.
so
You was
I,
asking G's. You were asking
so
G's.
Tony, I myself went down the management information systems route. So I definitely, I'm there with you. Forget the rest of the haters. They might ask you where
I
it's
I
at.
personally went down this computer science route, so I mean, you would have been in good company. But I mean,
So
oh, ooh,
Marco in the
nice.
chat says it was Lycos. I remember Lycos. Well, I don't want to date myself. But I got a question for you, Tony. Right?
Yeah.
First off, did I call you Tony Braxton?
You
Somebody in
did
the
not.
chat. Okay.
The
Somebody
way
in the
these
chat
roles
lying
are
on me,
set
man.
up,
Somebody in the chat
we
said,
don't.
said Tony Braxton.
I did.
All right, because I know I messed up, but I would have remembered that one. So you went to you graduate, you went to college first, and then you got commissioned, right?
Correct.
What made you go into the Air Force, right? You went into college and got this degree, this IT degree. Like, what made you decide to use that in the Air Force first?
So first, I was in school. I had no plans of doing the military at all. I really saw my life. From my mind, I was going to be on Wall Street somewhere. I was going to be somewhere in New York doing my power walk from the subway with my sneakers on, with my heels in my hands. I don't even wear heels anymore.
They
I
in
had
your
a whole
bag.
vision, though. I had a whole vision of what it was going to be. And sometimes your plans don't work out the way you want to. What they say, you make plans, God laughs at you, or something like that. So the way my plans worked out, I did ROTC in college for my last 3 years. It paid for school. And then I went into the Air Force because what other branch would I go in? For all my Air Force people out there, we know that's where the smart people live. So.
I
Shout
feel
out
like
to the
I don't even have
corporation.
glasses. Y'all ain't gonna catch that.
What? Well, I can't say anything because I never actually was in the military, so I'm gonna keep quiet. But thanks for your service.
I feel like you ain't mean that, Reginald. Like the way you said that, you said thanks for your
he's
service.
like, I had nothing to say, but thank you for your
It
service.
did have like some undertone to it. I don't know,
What
Reggie.
is,
You my
man?
boy,
Can I
but
just?
I'm just
I can't
Tony,
be.
I really
I can't.
do thank you for your service. Not just your military service, but your civilian service now. Thank you. We appreciate it.
You serving as a civilian.
Well, yeah, I'm in the federal government. We'll talk about that later. Oh yeah,
Okay,
by the
we'll
way,
get
let
to
me
that.
throw
We'll
my
get to it.
disclaimer out real quick.
Yeah.
All right, definitely
All
do this.
opinions and ideas and things I say today are the opinions and ideas of Toni Benson, not of the federal government. Throw my disclaimer out there because
And
I
not
don't
Toni
want nobody coming
Braxton.
and ask me questions later.
Yeah, because Love
Somebody
Sugar
in the
brought you
chat
home
still
last
like
night.
somebody wanted a solo from you still.
Yeah.
Do you sing?
No, that's not my ministry. Now, if you want me to,
Are you gonna rap?
Not my ministry.
it's
Uh-oh.
not.
My
It's
ministry
Love
not.
is
should have
crazy.
And some
brought
people
you
think they can
home.
sing, and it's not their ministry either. I will say that I can harmonize. So you throw me in with a group, I ain't gonna mess it up for everybody.
That's
You,
all I'd ask.
Y'all want to go
That's
ahead
all
and
I'd
lead it
ask for.
off.
see the
If you
background in the choir. In the choir.
Got
In
you.
the
if you
choir.
can do that, you can have your flowers today. For me, that's all I'm saying.
Oh, you're
I'm
trying to
just
get a
waiting
full
for somebody
quartet.
to lead off. What
I
y'all
would
want?
like one. I would like one, but I'll get what I can get. I'll
Did
take
she
what I
just
can
clear
get.
her throat just now? Like, okay.
I'm waiting
You
for.
ready?
I was waiting for somebody to jump up. I got
No,
back up all day.
La 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 la. I'm sorry.
that's not what
Sorry.
this is about. But
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
that's
you
not
could
what
catch
this
me
is
on the
about.
karaoke anytime. You know.
We will do karaoke when you come down. We will do
All right, we got
karaoke.
that, May. All
All right.
right.
So you went into the Air Force as a AIM high officer, right? Doing your thing. Thank you for your service. What was that experience like?
Wow. It was mixed, right? The Air Force, I think, taught me everything. I won't say everything, but a lot about what I know about leadership, right? And as my career has evolved, I do less and less hands-on keyboard things, and I do more leading. And I attribute a lot of that that I learned in the Air Force to me being successful, or I think I'm successful. I mean, people can
You are.
judge and give their
Yeah.
opinion, but I think I'm successful at it, and I really say that the Air Force helped kind of cultivate that in me. The one thing, and this probably leads into a little bit more of my story, the one thing that I didn't see in the Air Force were people that look like me. They really talk about it's a real thing when they say if you see it, you can believe it, you can be it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I got out, right? I didn't see many, if any, women at the highest levels of the Air Force are Black women. And so for me, it was discouraging. It led me down a path to say, you know what? I did my part. I got what I got from it. And I'm going to go seek other opportunities. So, like I said, taught me a lot. I learned a lot about working together with teams. I learned a lot about working with teams multi-generational or from different backgrounds, and how do you get all those people to come together and work together. But it also taught me, I guess, my first kind of dose and lesson that I'm going to be in a lot of spaces where there's people that don't look like me. And if I could do it all over again, I probably would do it differently. But that's 20 years or how many years later with that knowledge.
So seeing and experiencing that while in your service, right, to the country, you got out. Was there a significant contrast to that, or was there was it pretty similar in the workforce?
I would say it's pretty similar, right? Because I think that even though I know, diversity, I guess, is getting a little bit better in the spaces of tech, one of the things that you will see is that where the diversity is increasing in some of the entry level levels, you don't see it still in the C suite as much. You don't see it in all these other places. And those are the people that are influencing what the next generation of things are going to look like, right? And so, again, if you can't see yourself and you can't imagine it, it just becomes more and more difficult to be able to see or chart a pathway. It becomes more and more difficult to find those mentors that can really kind of understand the same way. And I'm not saying that you have to only have Black. I have more than Black women mentors. I have, white male, I have Black male, all across the spectrum, right? But I'm just saying sometimes it's good to talk to somebody who understands the plight. And so
It's funny that you say that because that actually happens to be how we met because we were at a conference. We were at a leadership conference in New Orleans, and Toni walked past me and she had this DEF CON backpack on. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. You didn't just come from Vegas last week, too. And initially, she thought that I was being a stalker. And then she turned around and was very nice and introduced herself.
I can see the stalker piece. I could definitely understand that.
Well,
I can understand that.
I can
Because
only know
you lurked behind me for what, like 2 weeks or something?
Okay, relax. It was like 2 minutes, and you
She
immediately
said,
Yeah,
she said, relax. Well,
like
did she take your lunch money too? Because she
okay,
took
let's
mine.
focus. So anyway, back to Toni.
back to it.
So back to Toni. After that conversation, we had started to discuss all of the different places where we had been, and it was a basic lack of representation between the two of us. And now we share a lot of the similar opportunities in terms of increasing that leadership style across different organizations, finding ways for exposure. I think that you were at DEF CON last year, and you were at Tanisha's new conference last year giving a talk, right?
yeah. So SquadCon, shout out to Tanisha Martin, and all of the Black women in tech that are really just doing their thing. But yeah, there's just opportunities out there that weren't there when Ebony and I first met, right? And I think that they will continue to grow, but there just needs to be more. Again, when we talk about diversity and some of the things that we hear, one administration, you might be trying to increase it. The next administration, you're trying to cut it within the same administration, all of the things, right? There's not a devoted effort to make workspaces look like what this country looks like and be a reflection of that. And that's a problem. And so I think the more people that can step up, the more people who can step out, kind of be a voice for those, is something that will be beneficial for the industry in general, but beyond tech, right? We need to get this right, and we need to create those opportunities for people.
That's dope. I know Ebony is she's an ambassador for conferences, speaks at conferences, and that was a story in itself, right? Listen back to that if you guys missed that story. But for you, how did you become a speaker? I mean, did you speak at your very first conference? Hey, you in the audience, you look like you know something about tech, or how did that whole process come about?
No, I'm gonna give credit to my mom, right? Because first of all, I had a problem talking in class all the time anyway. Like, I was just bored because I already knew what was kind of going on. And once I got it, I'm ready to talk, and let's talk about something else, which is not the space for that. But my mom put me in pageants when I was a kid, right? And I'm a tomboy. Like, I didn't want to be in pageants. I didn't want to do it. But what it did, and what I didn't realize it was doing, was it got rid of any fear that I have to kind of go in front of people and do things, right? Speak, walk, whatever. It afforded me an opportunity to be in spaces where there weren't many people that looked like me. These are all things that, like, at 9, 10, you don't really realize that you're picking up on. And again, it just instilled confidence to kind of talk to anyone and do anything. and be in spaces, like I said, where people don't necessarily look like you, and be successful in those spaces too, because you're just kind of showing up and, again, just kind of being who I am. That's all I can be. Um, and so I think that that's really kind of what started me down that path. But I love public speaking. It's a great opportunity to reach the masses. I am an introvert. And so I'm gonna tell you right now, you see me at a conference. This is kind of like back to the husband story and how we met. You see me at a conference. If I'm speaking, I'll speak, I'll do the things, I'll shake the hands, I'll kiss the babies. But when you see me outside of that conference, you may not get but 3 or 4 words from me, because now
Yep.
I need to like rejuvenate myself. I need to like pour back into my cup. So I'm not rude. I'm just, I'm tired.
We going
Yeah.
all the way off the strip to eat some food.
I'm kissing somebody, baby.
I'm an introvert too, and it takes a lot of energy from you if you're an introvert to go out and to talk to people and stuff like that. So I'm curious. You said that you kind of like went through and you did a lot of you know, mingling with people in diverse cultures. So I know in a past conversation we had, we talked about code switching. So is that something that you find yourself having to do, or you just like continue to be your authentic self whenever you talk?
I
First of
think
all, I want to suggest that just because there is a perception of code switching, it's not to suggest that it's not your authentic self. But go ahead, Tony.
no, I agree with that. I agree with everything he said. I think that when I was younger, I used to try a lot harder to fit in. Because in the military, like I said, I was predominantly around white males. You just try to fit in, right? Because you don't want to make, quote unquote, a situation uncomfortable. The older I get, the less I care. I don't really care what you think. I know what I know. You know what I mean? It's just a level of confidence you have when you're confident in what you know. And so you can't take that from me. So I'm going to show up in spaces. I know what I'm talking about. I usually don't step up and open my mouth if I don't really know what I'm talking about, but don't get me on a topic that I'm passionate about. And I go tooth and nail with you, be like the great debaters out this joint. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, anyway, I show up as my authentic self, because that's when I am the best version of myself. If I try to be something else, I'm not going to be successful at that. So
I really found myself wanting to push back on what Ebony just said, but when you really think about it, it makes sense. Because you're multifaceted people. We're multifaceted people.
Hmm.
You find yourself just changing and allowing yourself to fit in with whatever space you're in. But the thing that made me want to push back on it is that
Because I
requires
said it.
effort. Well, aside from that, right? Aside
Because
from
I
that,
said it. That's why I want to push back on it.
let me have my flowers now. Aside from that, is that it requires effort. Like Tony was just saying, it's exhausting doing that, and you get to the point where you just don't care, and you don't care to expend this extra energy that's required for you to assimilate to this environment, right? And I think that's an important thing, right? We should be comfortable enough to be the self that requires less effort, right? So it's not that you're not your authentic self. You're probably not your most comfortable and ideal self when you're
you
in
also have
these
to remember too
situations.
that I always say this: I'm not for everybody, and I'm good with that. You know what I mean? Be good with not being for everybody. It's just not everybody's cup of tea. That's cool.
Yeah,
Keep it stepping.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? There's somebody that fits the mold that you want or whatever. So just got to be comfortable in that.
And I do appreciate a few ticks ago when you were saying how showing up and we were talking about you presenting it at conference and such. It's good to be seen, right? Seeing people that look like you, but for people to see people that look like them, they got to have somebody out there. So, Tony's doing it, Ebony's doing it. I do a good deal of it in my circles, in my role at Red Hat. And disclaimer: none of these views are Red Hats, and they don't sponsor or do any of that kind of stuff at this show. These are all my kooky ideas and bad jokes. But a lot of what I got exposed to when I started was they really harp on building your brand. So when I have mentees or people that I coach, some of the things that I harp on most, aside from learning the technical stuff, is building your social capital and building your brand. Your brand is crucial, so if you have it in you to go out and do a talk or have conversations with people that are doing talks, do that. Let people know who you are, and just get outside of yourself, because believe it or not, I'm an introvert. Evan is an introvert. Toni just said she's an introvert. I don't know if Reggie's an introvert.
He did say he was an introvert. You
He
just
is.
Yeah.
ignored that.
So you know the
Yeah. So he
whole.
left me out of the whole conversation, but it's
It's
all
okay.
right. Like
You
I just
did.
You
was,
see that? I
yeah.
just picked
Yep.
you up and dragged you back
You
in, Reggie. You're
I
welcome.
know, right?
You're
you
welcome.
want to come back in?
No, I'm saying I was just saying I was an introvert. I'm, you know, I do a lot of stuff too, man. You just like, but
You
it's
do a lot
okay.
of stuff, Reggie, and we
Yeah.
appreciate it. But
T-
today's
Yeah.
talk.
about Toni. And we got a
What,
question for you, Toni. How would you
yeah.
encourage women to get into tech when some would think it's a men heavy field?
Oh, right from the chat. Exactly. That's exactly
Straight
what I
from the
was gonna
chat.
do.
Appreciate
Right.
that, chat.
You're
Ebony.
welcome. You're welcome.
Ebony.
Reggie was like, I was on that
Too
one.
late. Too late. Too slow.
Like how it is.
So I think there's a couple of things, right? There's a couple of free resources that I'll say that are out there, right? So not to promote my day job, but there's some challenges that we've put out there that's called Try Cyber. I think it's trycyber.us. It just kind of gets your feet wet in what you think is interesting out there, or what you might be interested in cyber. There's a couple of other things on the CISA.gov website that you can go to. That's CISA.gov, that talks about career pathways. So there's different things that are out there and tools that are out there. I always tell people, before you start investing a whole bunch of money in tech, because it can get expensive, make sure it's something that you really want to do. Don't let money just be the motivator. That's with anything, right? Like, have some passion behind it. I mean, the money can be good, right? I think we all know that. But at what cost, right? If you don't really want to do that, and it's not something that you want to get up out of bed every day and do. And so I also encourage people to find those different professional networks. I'll promote the couple that I'm a part of, Women in Cybersecurity. By the way, I'll be speaking at that event again with some of my peers on a panel. There's also
Do you
Women's
have a
Society.
date for that event?
Oh, sorry. That's April, I want to say 9th through the 13th in Nashville, Tennessee. There's also
She did a. Oh.
Women's Society and Cyber Jitsu, Black Girls Hack, Black Girls Code, Girls Security, Girls Who Code. I do a lot of, like, obviously a lot of women involved, or Black women led kind of organizations, but there's a ton of organizations out there, right? And so I think that finding your tribe is what I like to say, but finding your people, finding your network is really, really important, because when you're confused, you feel more comfortable with people that kind of asking those questions. And so I always welcome to. Now, I might not get right back to you, so I'm gonna just put that out there now. But if people have questions, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn too. I try to answer as many questions as I can. I do not have a hookup on any jobs. I can tell you when jobs are getting put out there. I don't necessarily have the hookup though. When really, I don't ever have the hookup. I can just tell you when I come in here.
Cap.
So I looked at your LinkedIn page, and you did post a lot of jobs on your LinkedIn page.
That's mainly what I do. I try to, because I always say, right, my network, I know what my network looks like, right? And I know my network may not look like somebody else's network. So let me make sure my network is getting these resources as well. Because if the same people are posting these jobs, then the same people are going to get hired for these jobs because they're the only ones that know about them. So I try to force multiply as much as I can when I see opportunities out there, whether it be internships or jobs that people can pursue. Reggie, go ahead.
Reggie.
Reggie, I felt like you had something to say. You had that look on your face, like.
Well, I always look like this because I'm always listening and paying attention, and I'm always attentive.
I had to give a pregnant pause because last time I left Reggie in the dust, and I don't want him feeling excluded. This is about Toni, but
I was just I'm giving you a hard time, bro. You just said, hey,
Bro, you look, man, you precious
just give
to
me,
us, bro. We don't want you to, feel excluded.
hey, man, it's all that back and forth that makes the show fun, man.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
Um,
Me and Rico go back like stocking caps and waves, man. 2003, I think.
And
so
we all doing great things out here. I think that's what
Yeah.
makes it real dope. I think that there's the more the more we get out and we go in different pathways, the more we can share our experiences, the more people we can motivate to come into these spaces and help kind of cultivate what these spaces look like.
you talked about, earlier about having what I would assume is formal mentorship that you receive. And then you've recently just, spoke of having people reach out to you, and even though you're not going to reach back in a timely manner, um,
Maybe.
Maybe.
do you have any formal, mentees that you kind of groom personally? Is that
Yeah.
something you're engaging in?
For sure. So
And when you
my
when you when you when you speak on that, can you follow up with, how you feel, how important you feel mentorship is for a person's growth?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I think there's really kind of three areas or three types of people you need in your career, right? I think, or maybe it's really two, but I think a mentor is great. A mentor is, to me, is someone who's probably been the places that you want to go and can kind of tell you about the experience. So if people were interested in the military or the federal government, I worked in the private sector too, but most of my time has been spent in the government. I could be a good resource, right? Because I have some knowledge and background about those things. Someone wants a private sector, they can talk to Ebony. Ebony been everywhere though, so
Okay, relax. Again, I
I'm
feel like
everywhere. I mean, in
feel
a
like
good
it's real
way.
shady out here.
You're wanted by everyone. That's really what it is. So the thing is, see, trying to get somebody flowers, they ain't even trying to accept them.
I know, right? She like,
Um, but I think a mentor is that, right? I think a coach is someone who kind of understands where you want to go and helps you kind to guide your path to get there. But I think the third person that you really need is an advocate or someone who is willing to say, I put my name on so and so that they will do a good job. And I'm telling people right now, I'm not that for everybody. I can't put my name on everybody.
Yeah.
Friends, family, it don't matter who it is. I can't put my name on everybody, but there are people who I have seen kind of do the work, and that's what it really is for me. Like, let me see you demonstrate how bad you want it. How often do you reach out to me, even if I'm slow to reach back? And I'm not that bad most of the time.
Listen.
Most of the time, it's crazy.
But it'd be a lot of people reaching out.
I signed up for your mentorship program.
Denied. So I think really
The
though,
vetting is serious.
I
This
think
is what
really
we
though,
do.
you really have to have those types of people though. Somebody who's been to where you want to go, somebody that can help guide you just from like a higher level perspective, and really maybe even challenge you to challenge yourself essentially to do higher things. And then somebody that's gonna put their name on you, like somebody that really is just gonna say, we need to put this person in this position, because a lot of things happen that way. It's really about who knows you, not who you know.
I really appreciate you for breaking down the distinctions between mentors, coaches, and advocates.
oh my gosh.
A lot of people, they
Yes.
blur those lines.
Yes.
They don't really understand that those, even though that could be a person that, holds two or more of those roles, a lot of
Mhm.
times it'll be one person that's each of those things. And then I can also appreciate that you don't just take riffraff mentees.
Okay, relax. Like 2 words before that, she said I was wanted, and then she told me I couldn't be in her mentorship program.
Still
My
did
man,
We're
shit.
gonna talk
my
about
man
by the federal
said,
government. I
my
mean,
man went back to the
criminal.
20s, riffraff. Get this riffraff out of here.
Ne'er do wells.
This tomfoolery that we're dealing with on the phone here. So I couldn't agree more. Like that's why I got excited when you said that, because I was literally having a discussion on a panel about the difference between coaching and mentoring. People don't know the difference. So the fact that you brought that up is really amazing, and I really take my hats off to you for understanding the role that you play in people's lives. That's awesome. Your
Yeah, I think
flowers.
Thank you, appreciate it. I just started my own LLC, Envision, and so with that, I want to be doing consulting, coaching is one of the things I want to do as well, though, because I think it goes back to my philosophy again. I think you can learn from any and everybody, but I think when it comes from somebody that looks like you, and that's not to say that we're a monolith, because it really disturbs me when people want to just bucket every black woman in one bucket, or every black man or black people. We are not monolithic. We're all very different. But I do think there are some shared experiences, right? And I think that there's an opportunity there for me to be able to kind of pour back into some people with the leadership skills that I've learned along the way. And so more to come on that, but that will be something I'll definitely keep it posted up on my LinkedIn page. Some of the things that I'm trying to do post career, because we got to have multiple streams of income out here. We can't be out here just on one paycheck. And if we out here on one paycheck, it's okay. But I'm telling you right now, today is the day to start thinking about what those multiple streams of income are going to be.
Probably should have a separate stream of income for each of the activities you engage in. I'm just telling you right now, I got a side business right now that just supports my travel habits.
Oh my goodness.
Are you a
That's a
travel
big
agent,
habit.
Ebony?
No,
Nah,
but I have
she's
considered it.
That's
she's
most
very
people that
well
like to travel
traveled.
become travel agents.
Nah. I think I'm gonna be a content creator.
Yo, Ebony is mad.
Ebony travel, Ebony on the road, Ebony worldwide.
What kind
It's
of
called The Road
content?
Less Traveled. Come on, keep up, Reggie.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, I'm
You
sorry,
go.
Tony.
So,
Bring
Tony,
it
is
back.
this
Bring it back.
is this your current passion project here? Your envision? Are you looking for mentees and coaches? I mean, not me personally, but I got some people because
Oh, I'm about to
I
say
can't talk to everybody.
I got
Well,
some
first, can
intern
you talk
positions
about
for you.
what Envision is about? What
Yeah,
the
so
goal is?
really envision, really it's about, and in its name itself is that I want you to envision yourself and where you want to be, right? So if you can't see yourself there, it's not going to be. And I think a lot of times we don't take the time to actually envision ourselves in where we want to be. And then start to set the milestones to do that. We start marching out to something and we don't really know what the end goal is. So my thought process is to go into organizations and help leaders, one, be better leaders, because everybody that gets given the title is not really a leader. So to provide training, and then to also provide consulting to help them get to that place that they need to be able to run their organizations. The other piece of that is I want to do leadership trainings really for young people. That's really my end goal. My
Oh,
whole passion in life.
yes.
I don't have kids, um, and I think part of the reason why I don't have kids is because I'm supposed to be able to um, be there for kids in the masses. And I think when you have kids, it's probably a little harder to do, right? Because you got to focus on your own kids first. And so I want to teach young people of color really how they can be leaders and not just followers. And so start to instill those skills in them at an early age. So then when they walk into spaces, they walk into the spaces with that confidence already. That I'm not just here. I might start off here, but this is not where I'm going to end up. And so my whole goal is to get the streams of income, to get the profit, so I can do these types of things for free for young people.
I love that. I actually do a lot of volunteering. Me and my brother in the chat, we volunteer at the Boys and Girls Club teaching STEM. But yeah, I feel very strongly that's the way to go. You know, we do have to go with the kids. Um, Adults definitely need the support, but I feel like there's a lot of bang for your buck when you're dealing with the kids because they can be so malleable, you know, and they're figuring it out. A lot of us we go through life as adults and we already think we already got it figured out. And it's kind of hard to get people to understand there's a different way, a different perspective you can take, different options. So yeah, I definitely appreciate that. Ebony, Reggie, do you guys do anything with kids?
I don't like the phrasing of that question,
Oh my
but
gosh, that
uh,
was that was
I
wild.
do.
That was wild.
All right, it was great having you guys here. Good night.
That was wild.
Close this thing down quick.
I know, right? That was wild. We're gonna have to cut that out.
Let's start with that.
Try it again. Try it again.
Try it again. Yeah. I support multiple children's organizations in a variety of ways, including mentorship.
Control.
Including
She's on.
mentorship,
This is a probationary co-hosting
coaching.
that she's doing right now. So
And yeah, so I do lots of things. Sometimes, well, previously, much like you and your brother, I was teaching soldering and software development programming to kids making robots and stuff like that. I don't know if I want to do that now. It takes up a lot of time.
it does. It does.
Tony got it. Tony got it. I'm here to support anyway on the sidelines.
It is very challenging. I mean,
Yeah.
these kids, they're like squirrel. You know, Mr. Rico, can I touch your hair? Like, no, don't.
You put that thing up in ponytail. You should have known better when you showed up.
They definitely teach you some patience. They definitely teach you some patience.
sure.
What about you, Reggie? You do anything with children organizations?
Yeah, so I just recently did the second year we did an IT Expo at Orange Technical College.
Nice.
On the 30th, we have the 100 Girls Conference I'm doing with Blacks at Microsoft Florida. So that's I'm going to be speaking there. There's
Blacks in
also
Microsoft.
Blacks at Microsoft. That's
Okay.
the organization I'm a part of. So also we have something called BiteCon, which is going to be in the Kim Festival, which is going to be kind of like a black Comic-Con. A lot of kids are going to be there talking about Comic-Con stuff, and BiteCon, I'll be doing a panel talking about AI and the role it is playing. Yeah, it's a lot of different things, but I don't want to get into all of it. But yeah, I do a lot, not only with my company, but outside the company. Um,
Yeah.
so to me, I think the guidance that I mean, like it's amazing, right? So I was talking to a girl the other day, and she went to her first conference, right, as a child, and she was just kind of looking around like, oh my gosh. And then one of the girls that one of the women that I work with, she said, I went to my first conference when I was young, and that's the thing that got me into IT. She was like, I went to my first conference, and I was like, this is what I want to do with my life. And I mean, the company she works for a major company now, right? Um, Microsoft. So I don't want to, like I said, just like Rico and Red Hat, same thing with me and Microsoft, right? So, but yeah, it just
Disclaimers all over the
yeah,
place.
disclaimers. So, but yeah, that just changed her life going to a conference when she actually won it in a contest, a ticket. It was like $2,000 ticket to a Ready conference or something like that, and it changed her life. And now she's a up and coming rising star. She's young, came right out of college, joined the company and just aspire higher is what they call them. And she's just
Yeah.
been like taking off, but that started her whole path, right?
It feels like an investment. Like you invest in these like kids and you don't know what's gonna happen, right? The
Mm-hmm.
market could go either way with their lives.
Mm-hmm.
But like for me, it would be worth it if one of them, like 20 years from now, right? If I can make it that long, keep that health up. 20 years from now, I'm watching TV and then there's a Bill Gates version of this new time, and it's like, oh yeah, I got into it because Mr. Rico and Mr. Marco, they used to come to the boys. Like that would make it worth it for me. Like just one of them, or if they just came back and say, yeah, I really appreciate what you did. That got me interested in tech. Shut up, Ebony. Shut up. This is your last show. This is your last show.
Hey, I don't know if you notice or not, Emily, but sometimes your facial expressions are wild. You just
I already told you I shouldn't be on camera.
You're definitely making the case. You're making the case.
At least you
I
know your
told you
strengths.
that.
At least you know your strengths, and that's not on
I
camera.
do. I do. If I didn't have to talk,
Tony, that's so sweet. Did you say that?
Look, people gonna be like, After this episode, people gonna be like, "Who that girl is with a bag on her face?" That's
Be
you gonna
like
be
that.
in the public.
Just put a smiley face on it.
We'll put a smiley face on it. Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Do a
All right,
still
let's
image
get
of
back
her
to let's get
smiling.
back to Tony. Let's get back to Tony, because we gonna not have no time for that solo at the end.
No, we're gonna have time. We're gonna have time.
Are we?
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift.
She
Let's
ready.
shift. All right, so we talked about your background, what you're currently doing. What's your thoughts on AI? All right, is that affecting what you're doing or what you're looking to be doing, or like how is AI affecting what you're thinking about right now?
Yeah, I think so. For those that don't know, artificial intelligence. I think I'll give my real quick thoughts on artificial intelligence. One, anything that happens as advancements in tech that goes unchecked is going to be a problem. And so I think that you don't need to bog it down with a whole bunch of things to prevent creativity, but you do need to have some checks and balances. The other thing that makes me a little fearful about it, fearful is not the right word, cautious about it, is that I'm not confident that the people in the rooms making the decisions are reflective of what this country looks like. And so, if those people who are influencing how things are being written, how the money flows for it, how just all of the things, I think it's just again going to cut people out that will probably have the greatest dependency on it, or will impact their lives the most. And so I think we just have to be really I think we have to think about the security of it all. That's all. I'll just leave it at that. It's gonna evolve. It's gonna be here. It makes money. It's all the things. So the minute something's not making money, all the rules start to go out the door. So that's just a little bit of my caution around AI.
I think, though, that a lot of times in these conversations, we skip directly to artificial intelligence and we don't acknowledge that it's a transition from an augmented intelligence to an artificial intelligence. And when we are discussing an artificial intelligence, like you said, the people that are in the rooms that are making some of these decisions aren't necessarily reflective of all the people that will be impacted from these decisions. However, when we're looking at the bridge between where we are and where we are thinking that artificial intelligence will be, we have a lot of opportunities in between to impact and contribute to the way that augmented intelligence is leveraged as artificial intelligence continues to expand.
And
And
by augmentation, are you saying an augmentation of the human's intelligence, or
no,
you're talking about all software?
no, when I'm referencing an augmented intelligence,
Yeah.
I'm referencing the computer still requiring active interaction from a human, but the computer is simply providing amount of data that humans wouldn't necessarily be able to gather or obtain in the time frame that the computer provides it.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you for clarifying that. And I agree with you, Tony. It's important that we have a strong consideration for security. It took years for us to start baking security in our current products and platforms. Now it's a common practice.
Is
And
it common though?
It's a common conversation.
I mean,
Yes.
Rico, I agree with you.
No,
I'm
you're
sorry.
right.
I'm not
You're
trying to
right.
cut you off. I
It's-
agree with you. I agree with you.
No, cut me off. It's your birthday.
It is your birthday, girl.
I just did that. I gotta edit that out. I
No,
just
I
did
gotta
that.
say.
No, it works. It works.
I
It
gotta
works.
say.
It works, bro.
It does
It
it?
worked. Let it work.
I thought that made me feel dainty, bro.
It works. No, man.
I just
It
did
works. Hey, man, take the win, brother.
But yeah, like to your point, it is very much more of a conversation than it is a reality in most cases, and I agree with that. But the good thing is that it is a conversation. That's a step. The thing that's disheartening to me is that I was attending a virtual conference at one of the local universities where it was a couple of businesses, couple of companies talking about AI, and there's one guy, he he made the comment that he pretty much wanted to put regulation on the background on the background. It's like you need to put that up front. You need to start considering how you're gonna regulate and put policies around this stuff up front while you're in the implementation phase, and not do it when you're trying to solve some issue or close some hole. Um, you have to be more. You have to be very intentional when you're doing things like this, because it could be some pretty serious consequences if you're not considerate of all things, because it all matters.
I mean, to me, that's why we're in the shape that we're in today with the
Yeah.
internet. I mean, I'm not gonna go down this whole, stand on my soapbox, but I just
Get
think
on your soapbox, girl.
I
It's
think
your
the thing with
birthday.
the internet today is it was, you know what I mean, was never meant to. It was never meant to be what it is today, right? But as soon as someone saw they can make money off of it, they were like, "Oh, okay, we can make money," and nobody really thought about like, let's stop because it wasn't intended to do this, and so we should think about the security of it all. The minute dollar signs get involved, security and all those things, like we'll figure that out on the back end. Like that's not, we can't operate that way, and um, I'm just fearful that money and the money that can be made and is being made is going to quiet the voices of those who really understand how we need to have security put in place up front.
So the chat says they're saying a lot right now. Happy birthday. Security slows you down. That's why they say don't run with scissors. What? Okay. Somebody asked, what are your thoughts on big tech like TikTok? Building brand versus voice versus security.
Say that again, Mark. Say that again. Rico.
All right. Any thoughts on big tech like TikTok? Building brand versus voice versus security. And you can take a quick pause to kind of digest that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's TikTok, is back in the news again.
Yeah.
Or maybe it never left. We have to be, there's like a level of caution that has to be taken when we start to kind of regulate things based off of whims, maybe. I don't know. Of the way our government is feeling that day. So you do have to be careful with that. I will say that I understand that TikTok in China looks very different than the TikTok that our people get, right? And I do think that misinformation and all of those things, because we as a culture, not so much Tony, but we as a culture in general are so heavily reliant on social media, that we take that as our news. We take that as the gospel. Like, this is what it is. I heard this on TikTok. Like, yeah, but did the person who say it, were they informed about what they were talking about? And so I think, I have a lot of thoughts on big tech. Big tech, I just kind of talked about my thoughts about it's about money and not about security up front. And that's a problem for me because they just need to slow down putting product to the streets until they've built in the security that it requires. But on the TikTok idea, I think we just have to be. I think it's just a slippery slope when you start to just single out and pick certain platforms or certain things that can and cannot be used. And I also think that people need to be more informed themselves and not be so heavily reliant on social media to provide them with all of their news. I mean, and also the big media in this country aren't always as accurate and are biased as well. So I think you just have to do your research and know things for yourself and not be so reliant on everything.
Yeah, because there's a lot of conversation about it, right? A lot of talking points. Some people are looking at, the children and how children are being, molded, by the platform. Some people are looking at the security implications, right? Opening attack vectors and such. So there's other ways to deal with that. aside from throwing regulation at it. Yeah. And I don't proclaim to know the answer, but what I do know is that if you have a way of answering a problem, you do it with the way with the you do it with the answers that are readily at hand. And if you're concerned with kids, then education, locking those systems down. If you have your own kids and you're worried about that risk or that threat, um, but yeah, I mean, do some due diligence, get yourself educated on these topics, and just yeah. You guys have anything to add to that, Ebony or Reggie?
I was just going to. What is this face, Tony? What is this face?
I'm listening.
Okay. Um, I was just going to say that you're absolutely right. People do need to be informed, and that there are a lot of seemingly knee-jerk reactions from a law and policy perspective. And I think that one of the challenges that we often experience is that people that understand the technical and security aspects of the decisions and how they impact the masses aren't the people that are a part of the decision, policy, and lawmaking. And that is something that has to definitively shift, because we have a lot of really smart people that think that their time is wasted in crafting the policies, the laws, and the regulations that will be on the books for years and years and years. And there's also opportunity to dictate how they're implemented and where they're implemented. And I don't think that we have enough knowledgeable people and enough diversity in those spaces to make the impact that's really going to be necessary for us to see it at the levels where we presently reside.
Right after the running with scissors comment, Marco says that what about stifling of free speech by Facebook and Instagram? He also goes on to say the government is too involved in personal lives and there's too much propaganda, which definitely don't disagree with that.
So that's why I said it's tricky, right? Because in a political system that is very polarized right now, we have to be careful when the government has the authority to silence voices. And so this administration, it may be the voices that you want silenced. The next administration may be your voice. So I think we just got to be careful about being too quick to be like, yeah, we should ban this, because it may be banned in the books later. Let me be quiet.
President's is a mother, bro.
Let me be quiet because y'all live in Florida.
Okay, wait a minute.
Oh
all right. That's because you know what? We're going to talk about this later.
Yeah, I'm staying quiet on this one. This is too.
We're going to talk about this later.
Yeah,
But I'm just saying,
off camera.
Yeah, it's so polarized. We just have to be careful. You know what I mean? Because laws can apply both ways, right? In your favor and against you. And so we just have to be careful about what that looks like. You know what I mean? But I think and I'm not a parent, but I have a ton of godchildren. I think that we have to also, as protectors of our young people, be all in their business, make it uncomfortable for them. We're doing it for their protection, and we need to be monitoring. You can't be with them 24/7, I know, but we need to monitor and make sure we're talking to them about the things that they can be exposed to. I know sometimes in our community there's a culture of we don't really talk about a lot of things, but I think we need to be these are the times we need to be extra vocal, and making sure that we're instilling in them what they need to know when we're not with them.
Yeah, we definitely need to talk about Bruno.
So, yeah, you got to break down that. Would you say godchildren or children guys or whatever? You got to break down now.
God is children.
Oh,
sir.
godchildren. Okay, I
God
thought you said
children,
something
yes.
else.
It's a thing.
My bad. My
It's a
bad.
thing, sir.
Yeah,
It's a thing.
I'm aware. You don't have to talk in the teacher voice. I'm okay. So yeah, it's so again. I these conversations get really they get really they can go sideways real quick. So I'll just say this. Um, individual responsibility in a lot of ways is kind of what the main point I think you guys are trying to make, taking individual responsibility, whether it be for yourself, for your child, or something like that. Um, and my favorite quote was from, I don't know, a radio host where he says, "Nobody wants to believe the truth when the lie is more entertaining." The people, these things wouldn't be making money or gaining steam if people didn't want that sensationalism. They didn't want it. It's kind of like it's almost like somebody said, from a health food perspective, right? Like, you eat healthy and stuff like that, but then you listen to the sensationalism and all the garbage. That's like McDonald's for your brain, right? A junk food for the brain. People love that junk food for the brain. And until we start taking individual responsibility, we're going to continue to have this problem because the only reason they're doing it is for the money. It gets clicks, it makes money, people watch it, people consume it, and that's money. And until we take individual responsibilities, we're going to see a lot of the same stuff repeat over and over again.
So Tony,
And then that's it for me. Tony's shaking her head
we
though, but
I'm shaking my head at Ebony.
we did a whole lot of
you got to keep that straight face, Ebony, for real.
All right. We did a whole lot of talk about work and stuff. I'm interested to know, before we close this thing out, like, what do you do? How do you decompress? Like, what do you do to kind of get away from things and find yourself again?
For sure. So I'm learning. First of all, let me tell everybody, therapy is a blessing. If you haven't tried it, you should get your dose. It's really, really good. But what I've learned from that is I have to establish boundaries. So whether that's family, friends, whoever, it's okay to say no. No is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain why and all of the things. And I try to take the time to do the things I like to do, like read. I've been writing a lot more lately. I also, like to just sit and chill and be in silence. It's okay to be in silence too, or just listen to some music. Just the things that help me kind of get back and kind of center myself. But I'm also very competitive, so I like to play tennis, and I'm that person on the Peloton leaderboard, high fiving you as I go past you because I'm petty, and like nobody even knows that I'm doing this, and I'm just doing it for because I know that I'm my greatest competition. But I think, like, at the end of the day, I try to find those outlets and those things that allow me to get back to my center base. And so, like I said, after speaking engagements and things like that, I might take a couple of days and really just kind of not talk on the phone a lot or whatever, just to kind of get myself back. Because it's a lot of, I'm real big on energies, and it's a lot of energy that people are pulling on your energy. And also everybody's energy isn't good energy. And so you're having to deal with all of that, right? Every day at work or whatever. So I love this hybrid environment. I love it because it gives me enough time to do both, to have the interaction with people, but also to have the time to myself.
Do you have a buddy or someone close to you that can kind of, like, check yourself when you're not checking yourself well? Like, hey, look, you need to take a break. You have anybody like that in your life?
Look at Ebony's face.
Ebony seems like
that is my regular face.
I'll check.
How I look.
Yeah, I'll check you in a minute.
Literally how I look.
When you said my buddy, I started thinking about remember the little cartoon thing?
The dolls?
My buddy in me.
You talking about the dolls?
Literally, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I don't know why, but that's what I thought about.
Did you have one of those?
I have a squad of people. I mean, I have, of course, my family. I have my sorority sisters. I have my friends, work friends. I mean, I have a whole tribe of people. There are some people that are a little more in the inner circle, that probably can check me in, all kinds of ways, right? But yeah, no, I have my people. I think that's important, to have your people around you who can lift you up when you're down and who can also celebrate you when you're up. So,
what was that?
Black Panther.
Was it? Black Panther?
That was T'Challa. That was T'Challa.
I don't know if y'all
T'Challa
know
Jr.
this, but cats can tell times.
Wow, that cat did mark the time. Tell that cat to stay out my business, man. It's my show.
It is. And I didn't stop her. I just shoot her away. It's fine. We're all here.
Yeah, I think we talked about something earlier about kind of imposter syndrome and some of that type of stuff. Look, if you're there, you're meant to be there. It's a no 100% of the times you don't ask, right? So just walk into spaces with some confidence, do your prep, do your work, walk into the spaces though with some confidence that you can do it. I find that women a lot of times, it's even been studied that women a lot of times talk themselves out of it because they don't have 10 out of 10 qualifications, where men will walk in with 2 out of 10 and be like, I'll learn it on the job. And so I think that, as women, we need to get a little bit more of that, right? Just be confident in who we are and that we can get it done. My favorite quote right now is, you've been through 100% of your worst days. So just remember that you made it through 100% of your worst days. You got this. Life is good every time you get an opportunity to wake up and try again. So
Thank you so much for that. And just looking at the chat, best boss ever. Toni is impressive, amazing person overall, etc., etc. People have nothing but great things to say about you. And that's a testament to itself. I looked at your profile and some of your accolades before the show and some days ago, and I'm thoroughly impressed. And I was definitely looking forward to having this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you guys that are in the chat for joining us. If you didn't know and you're listening right now, we do have a live chat. So check out the website, don'ttakefolks.com, or you can go to developeverymind.com and find us. And you can join us. We come here every first and third Tuesday of the month, and we'll have a new guest or we'll have a new topic that we'll be discussing